Okay, well, I'm back. Obviously, the first video was really bad. Imagine that, since I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, I forgot to push finish, and then when I went to go view it, it was the wrong way and everything like that. So just bear with me. I'm going to do the technique of distressing again. So again, here I have the pine palette kit from Chalky Company, and I have put rum raisin, 2 coats on it, and it is dry as a bone. And then I put the white, vintage white over it, 2 coats, and it is dry. And I'm going to show you how to do it. I hope that this one works. All you do is, once your 2 coats of paint is dry over the other coat, and you can do light over dark or dark over light, and most people use brown or black. I chose to use rum raisin this time. And all you do, hope you can see this here, is you just put over, I've already done some of this, but you just put your wet wipe where you want to sand it, and it just takes some of that elbow grease out. Now, who do we have on here? Annette and Paula. Oh my gosh. Okay. Paula, is this the right way? Oh, good, good, good. Okay, so anyway, you take your sandpaper and you distress in the areas that you want to do, okay? And then you just wipe that residue off and you wet again. Now, if you have a cotton cloth, you can use that too. And this is just basic sandpaper, and it just takes off that paint a lot easier for you. And you can distress, try to go with the grain, things like that. So you just wipe off that stuff like that, all the little powder. Okay, so I guess I could go on to the next part because that's what I was going to show you next. So anyway, this is all nice and distressed, and so I'm going to show you how I put on the stencil on here. So I did a little video with that with the little magnets, but I'll show you how to do a big stencil. You take off this backing, which is the thicker paper, and you go slowly. So all of this stuff, this blue, which is stickery, I mean, it's sticky. And these are one-time use from Chalky Company. And you just pull off at an angle. Now, if some of this blue stuff, like the middle of the O, would stick on here, you would have to go back and make sure, press it back in, and then have it stick on to the transfer paper. So now it's just the transfer paper and the stencil. You turn it over, and you are going to eyeball this. Now, you try not to put the letters in a seam, which, you know, the seam of the wood. And if you're really, really particular, then you can get out your measuring tape and do all that jazz. But I am not like that. I can just pretty much eyeball it and tell that it looks pretty darn good and go from there. So, once you have it stuck down, you can't really move it. So if you're going to just, you know, keep going back and forth, that's when you do it. Then when you put a very large stencil like this, you always start in the middle and go back and forth to get those air bubbles out. Now, you can use a credit card if you want to, but every time I've done that, it really takes off some paint. And so I just use my fingers. So go in, make sure you get all those bubbles out, and then start peeling back. I hope, I don't know if you can see this or not. Oh, darn. Paula, can you see it? Maria, oh, yeah. Wait. Oh, love that stencil. Oh, God, now my camera turned. Oh, Lord above. Oh, gosh. Oh, well, yeah, I'm a little goofy no matter what. So, okay, so you start peeling off the stencil, and you try not to have your stencil rip. Just keep pushing down that blue so it sticks to your project. And these obviously are a one-time use. I suppose some of you that can get this off, I don't know how you would do it, but I've tried to use them twice. They bleed, so you know, if you want it to look great, get one new one each time. So now we have this that came off really easy. And again, all you're going to do is put the same exact color that you have on the base, which is vintage white, in a very thin coat. All it is sealing that edge up so you can paint. And the next coat, like, who knows, gold, silver, black, and then it won't bleed. So, and I don't put a ton of paint in those seams. See where there's the hole in the seam it's kind of, you know, hollow there? I don't put a lot of paint there because it will seep underneath. So just lightly coat that. You don't want it to seep underneath because then you'll have bleeding like a river. And then you have to do a lot of fixing, but we can fix that too. So if you ever want to do Chalky Company painting, these fun nights are amazing. And we just have a blast. We just have so much fun. Their kits from Chalky Company, they have wonderful wood, stencils, paint, and the chalky powder that you can add to any latex paint. Okay, so here we have that. We're going to let that dry. And since I have you, and I have your undivided attention, and I'm going to show you how to put some of these. Here's another one if you haven't seen the other video. So this one is already dry, this little stencil, and so I already put the vintage white on, and you just put one coat of the accent color, whatever you want in the words. I know some of you already saw this, but just try not to go off the edge. You can put tape on there if you want, and you let that dry. And so this one's already dry, okay? And so you put your second coat on. This is tarnished copper, which is one of my most favorite. Chalky Company has exclusive metallic paint. Oh my gosh, I went over the edge. Oh well. We will fix, we will fix. Okay, so we got that. Now I can show you how to take off the stencil. And so you just peel this off, and it's gonna rip, don't worry. And there you have that. And then we take a tweezer, and we take the inside of the letter out. Now, I know I showed you this on another video, but it's kind of fun. I'll show you again. It's not very hard. You just got to get used to it. And the best thing I can tell you about painting these kits is practice. Because since I started with Chalky Company, this is the most relaxing, creative thing I've ever done, and I've been doing crafts all my life. And believe me, what I've done at the beginning wasn't great compared to what it is now. It's looking pretty good now. So we get all those little pieces off. And you take off the stencil when it's still wet because of the latex. If you let that all dry together and then took it off in 2 days, it would just peel off everything because there's a lot of latex in the paint, and it'll just be like a rubber glove. So now I have a little paint here, and I could dab some paint on there, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to put that wet wipe, and I can rub it off. Now remember, the letters are still wet, so I can rub it off that way, or I could sand it off a little bit, like that, and distress everything. I don't want to get that powder in my other stencil, but you know, you get the idea. I'm going to distress this afterwards on the edges, just like I did with the Dream. Oh God, is this upside down? Whatever, you know how it goes. Okay, so this is pretty much dry now. And the reason why it dries so fast is the chemical chalky powder that is added to the paint. It really dries very, very fast. So I am going to put the LOVE in the tarnished copper. Just a light coat back and forth for those letters. And then I'm going to take some black and I'm going to do the feathers. Oh, actually this is brown. That's what I wanted. No. I want black. Where's my black? Here's black. So, a light coat. Oh man, I forget to look at the who's on here. Okay, so hi Paula, you're still on here. Boy, you're nice. Oh wait, Pam and Paula. You guys are sticking with me. Okay, so light coat, like I said, I don't paint into those little parts that are the seam of the wood, because then it like seeps in there and it's a mess. So if I have to touch that up after I take the stencil, it's much, much easier. Okay, so trying to go the same way, but it's a little, try not to go off the stencil. Okay, so we have quite the color combo here, but it actually is very complementary of one another. We have a little bit of rum raisin underneath that vintage white, and we have that tarnished copper, and then the black on the arrows. So, ufta. Okay, so then ufta is Norwegian for oh my, if you're not from around here in North Dakota. Okay, now we're going to do the second coat of the, like I said, this doesn't take too long to dry. And when you're taking off your stencil, it has to be pretty wet. You can let it dry a little bit, but I just take it off. And if you dab like this, you want to smooth that in. Some people dab like this in the seams. I just don't even paint them because it just works better for me if I don't. So now we have the copper, and we'll get rid of that lid. And then we're going to go ahead and put this second coat of black on. And if we want to be kind of fancy, we can blend some copper in the feather part, which I'll show you how to do that. That's pretty simple. I really, you know, these are just fun projects, and if you don't like them, you can always start over, paint, order a different stencil, and do it again. So it's just the most relaxing and fun project. I could just sit and do this all day long. I just love it. So, okay, so we've got the second coat of black on, and I'm going to take my copper brush that I have here, and I'm going to add a little bit of copper paint on my brush that I already have on there, just a little bit. Get a lot of it off before I start. But I'm going to just blend it into the feather. So it's really kind of a cool technique. It's not hard, but I don't have hardly any paint on, almost like a dry brush look. And then I have a, I push a little harder and get a little bit more paint on there. It's just kind of fun to do, like, I don't know. I just experiment. It kind of looks cool. So, and then over here we have a little bit more paint and dry brush to the end. Okay, and then a little more paint. And that's all there is to it. And then when the stencil comes off, it looks all blended. It's just cool. Okay, now we're ready to take the stencil off. And you just start peeling the corner. We have 2 coats of everything. And if this rips, it rips. Don't panic. Sometimes it takes many pieces to get it off. There, it already ripped. And how cool is that? How cool is that? Now, if I didn't have any place to pick this up with my fingers, I would let that go and use a tweezer, because usually fingerprints get in the way, things like that, and I've learned the hard way, believe me. So I get it down to where I can grab it with that tweezer, and we only have this to pick out. Now, I know I make this look pretty easy. It is this easy, people. It really is. And then I just take a stylus tool that I have, and if it looks like it needs to be fixed, now see, if I would have dabbed and dabbed and dabbed in there, it would have leaked out here, and I don't have to fix hardly anything in there. This black right here needs a little help, and it's a big area, so I'm just gonna kind of dab in there. And then I'll take my stylus, and I always work out of the lid because it's easier, and steady your hand with your pinky. When you're painting and you want to steady, you just dab. And if you don't have a stylus, just use a toothpick. But just work out of the lid and dab in there. It's just like painting with a toothpick. And that way you don't have all that bleeding going on in those seams. I have to see how this looks. So now see, there's a little bit of white, but you really can't tell. So I really didn't have to fix much of this. I mean, I could go back in and with the white, and I could fix a couple things here, but it kind of looked like that's where I was distressing anyway. So now if you're really a perfectionist, you can touch that up. You know, and when you're distressing things, they don't have to be perfect. So that's it. You guys have a great, hey Melissa, how you doing? You guys have a great afternoon. I am not the professional videographer, but I'm trying. So I love to do this. I just need one of these college kids to come in and videotape for me. So, okay, there you have it. It's very cool. Oh, okay, wait a minute. There. Oh, Lord. Here. There we go, there we go, there we go. Okay, take care. Have a great day, guys.